What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We are back in Miss Survival. Today we're doing a video on just tips and tidbits that I've collected over some time. If you guys like the video, please like and subscribe. But first, let's kill a bear. Tip number one is going to be save and save often. Don't want to go from something like this, you know, all these trees cut down, truck, loaded truck, all these storage crates, just because you forgot to save to load into this. Yeah, all that work, all that gathering that you've done, all the trees are still standing. Most likely don't have Scott any longer because, well, trees are still standing. So that's going to be my first and biggest tip, is save and save often. It will save you a lot of headache, a lot of frustration, and probably a lot of anger. Tip number two, do not neglect your fatigue. This is directly tied to your stamina. If your fatigue gets too low or disappears completely, your stamina will regen at a much lower rate. It also means if you're not getting your stamina, you're not going to be able to work as long, do as much, or outrun those mobs that are coming to kill you. So, the best way to actually regen your fatigue is to sleep. So on the keyboard, press 7, for the little dude here, click, and then you can choose how many hours you would like to sleep. And depending on your fatigue bar, that's obviously going to depend on how long you need to sleep. Tip number 3 is find a good spot to sleep during the beginning of the game. So while someplace like this you would be safe from attack for the most part, you're not going to be able to sleep because the sounds of the zombies will actually keep you awake. And if you're trying to keep your stamina and your fatigue, not a good place to sleep. So my suggestion in the start, you're going to probably be close to a tower or a water tower, something of that nature. If you get some height between you and the zombies, you'll be able to get a full night's rest. Now my suggestion, if you're close to where I'm at, is go to this tower here. I do believe at some point they will implement the ability for zombies to actually climb. So this will still work then. Here you have a door and you can sleep here. It's going to be the same for a water tower. There's several of those all around the map. These are just some good places to make sure that you keep your fatigue up. Because as we mentioned in the last tip, that is going to be one of the key factors in keeping you alive. Tip number 4 is going to make your shield. So in your crafting menu, under our little vest here, we have a wooden shield. What this does, obviously, is protect you from incoming damage against bandits or zombies. One of the other things you can actually do is upgrade this shield. Now you'll need to do that at a workbench, however, you do have an upgraded option. So this basically works with a lot of your one-handed items, hammer, knife, crowbar, machete, so on. So the way this works, you can pull it up in front of you, and that obviously protects you from damage. However, there is one more thing we get to do with it. When he gets close, you can shield bash. Yeah, there we go. And then beat the hell out of him with whatever you got in your hand. So timing sometimes is, you know, something you might have to work with. But once you get it, it feels good just beating the snot out of these guys. There we go. Another very useful thing is this shield will actually block sniper shots. As long as you have it in front of you, held in front of you, not just, you know, to the side, it will actually block sniper shots. Tip number 5 is get yourself a vehicle. You have the choice between the truck, which I prefer, and the SUV. Now the reason I prefer the truck is see all this storage space you have back here? You could also add storage lockers as well. Now the storage space in the SUV is just this. So in the end, you will have a lot more storage space with a truck than you will the SUV. The big reason why I'm actually suggesting is getting a vehicle is it's a pretty big map. You'll spend a lot of time running and moving around, which also means there's going to be items that you're going to want to take back to your base, and having a truck will actually allow you to do that. And if you haven't gotten yourself a vehicle yet, I will link a video in the description that will provide a guide on getting a vehicle very quickly. Tip number 6 is going to be our cooking pot. So let's go ahead. We are starting out at the motel. I'm going to show you where to get it, so you won't have to actually make one yourself. You can just pick it up. So we're going to go right. Keep an eye, there is a bandit camp on the left who will, shoot you and or your vehicle. So be careful. Right up here to our left is going to be a little, well, you'll see it by the fence. Right inside here, you will find the cooking pot, which is over a fire. So when you're actually using this, you have two options here. You can create some stew, which is good, it's helpful, beneficial, but the big reason you want this is to render fat, which will make the biofuel. Biofuel is used for a couple things. One, fires. That's going to be your accelerant. And secondly, once you get your generator, it can actually be used to fuel the generator. Now, in order to make the biofuel, when you kill a bear, I believe actually chickens and deer, you will get animal fat. When you get that animal fat, you will put it in here, light your fire, and then while the fire is going, it will slowly burn that fat down and make you some biofuel. Now in order to move this, just simply press M and throw it in the back of your truck and take it back to wherever you're going to make your base. Tip number 7 is to get ourselves a table saw. For those of you who may not know, a table saw is used to cut boards. In this situation, it actually turns logs into boards. And we can get as a free table saw. So, starting here at the motel, jump in our handy dandy truck and head back up to where we recently went to the mine. Just at the bottom of this hill, we're actually going to turn here. Now be careful, because there is a lake here. Just take it kind of slow. Here, make sure you stay on the road, because you can get caught up on these dirt hills pretty easily. And right here, we are going to find our table saw. Now the way this works, you pick up a log, you can, craft it yourself, or assign to an AI. AI being a survivor, which you will save at some point. There's going to be 3 of them. In order to move this to your base, just mouse over, M, throw it in the back of your truck, and drop it off at your new place. Tip number 8, use the blacksmith station that's actually provided for you in the game. Now, right now, you can build one if you like, which requires, decent amount of components, or you can go find your own. So, starting here at the motel, we get in our truck, and we are going to head back basically to where we got the table saw. Right here at the bottom of the hill, We're gonna make it a right. Keep in mind that lake is still there, pond, whatever you want to call it. Take a left here. This is where we picked up the table saw. Over here, we are going to find the blacksmith station. Now there are stumps here. Yep, just be careful, watch out for those. And this is going to be where we actually craft some items. Now, it also has a smelting spot in it, but the forge itself, this is where you create arrowheads, gear, some more stuff, weapons. In the early stages of the game, I highly suggest you just use this one. But that also brings me to my next tip. Get your hammer and pickaxe created as quickly as possible. Now these are going to be done here at the forge. The sledgehammer is actually one of your big resource makers, so to speak. So basically it's used to break down broken down cars, wheelbarrows, chairs, just a lot of things that you can actually find. Now in order to get the iron ore, of course you're going to need the pickaxe. So to get the low quality metal ingots, you're actually going to need to take these scrap metal and component parts to the forge and smelt them down. Each full row that you complete, you will get 12 of those low quality metal ingots, which you then can use to make the pickaxe. At which point you can go farm you some iron ore and come back and make your sledgehammer. Tip number 10 is to get your drying rack done as quickly as possible. Now in order to make it, just go to your build menu, so press B, and go here. And this will tell you exactly what is needed. Now the reason we want the drying rack is because two reasons. One, as you can see, I've got animal guts here. Animal guts are used to make the bow, which is the best weapon in the game. If you'd like to know how to do that, I will link a video guide in the description. But you also can add dry meat. So basically you go kill a bear, get some meat from them, and then with salt you can make these dry meat, hang them on here so they can dry. It's a big staple in your diet, at least it should be, so get that drying rack up and going as quickly as possible. Keep in mind that for animal guts, it takes 4 to 5 days in game to get these 100% dry to make the bow. And the last bit of information that I have to offer for now is your accelerated crafting or working time. Now what I mean by that, so when you go to build something, we'll go here to our items that we can actually craft. Here we go. So if you look here, it says 1 hour to build. Currently it is 1:55. So when we start crafting this, time is going to speed up. So the reason this is important is if you're doing something during a mist, that means that anything that happens around you is also going to be sped up. Which means if you're attacked by a zombie while that is happening, their attacks are also sped up. So if you're not quick to jump on that cancel and defend yourself, you will die extremely quick. So that's not so much a tip as just a call out, because it is something that I think some of the new players might overlook or forget, because there is so much information, so much to this game already, that it could be just something that didn't cross your mind that might be something that happens. And that is going to wrap up the tips and tidbits of information that I have to offer for the moment. If you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to go ahead and drop them below. Otherwise, I hope to see you in the next video.